Good evening. Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine. I'm about to give a really unpopular opinion, and I'm sure it's going to be especially unpopular amongst women.
I'm Gray Mars. Break a record by being with 100 men in one day. And right after she was done, she recorded a documentary.
I'm a vegan weed. Call yourself fresh and wear the same weak ass turtleneck on every show. God damn. Then we got goddamn the Sudanese Sambo. Bruh, man.
And I'm Enzo. Bringing up in my lives is they're like, oh well, he's violating the Constitution by having a meme coin and him making money off it in office and everything like that. I was like, if that was the case, like there would be lawsuits up the ass and impeachment in court.
I'm skeptic. Like I always say, don't let anybody trample on your constitutional rights.
I'm Mia. That's not a correct power dynamic in my mind. Typically, the people that are trying to be removed are not in control. That's why they're easily being removed.
Yo, that was fire.
Yeah.
I like that, though. I like that.
The person that's dealt with some people in the industry, I can personally tell you, most of them are bullshit. Most of them got something going on and they're crazy, and they will have you. I'm talking about they'll have you crazy.
Yeah, you look professional, bro. You look real professional.
Switch happened. Come on, man. You gotta acknowledge this. This is the problem that I have with elders like you, because you fail to acknowledge that this stuff has happened. We down. Hold on.
That mean I'm doing my job.
Hey. If we sit there and be old school, we gonna miss the boat. You know, a lot of this kids 19 years old buying houses with Bitcoin, buying Maserati.
Wow. Welcome to the new party. I'm Nora Christine.
I'm Gray Mars.
And today on the new party, we are officially in Diddy verdict watch. So the jury makes up 8 men, 4 women, and it has officially been a task to them to come up with a guilty or not guilty. There are 5 counts: racketeering, which is aka RICO, prostitution across state lines, and sex trafficking. I'm going to give my predictions. Gray, what's yours? Guilty, not guilty, all 3 on some. What do you think?
I always laugh at that King J part on the intro. It's so funny to me. But I think that Diddy's going to beat the RICO, but I think he's going to be charged with something. That's what I think is going to happen.
Me too. I think it's going to be not guilty on the RICO and guilty on for sure the prostitution across state lines, but maybe not guilty on the S trafficking. But I don't think it's going to be the RICO either. But you know, guys, we've been hanging out with you. We've been giving you updates. It's been a roller coaster of a ride. So we set our predictions. But guys, I don't know if you heard, but it ain't over. The lawsuits keep piling up. I want to show you one that I saw on the internet this weekend. Let me show you. There is a lawsuit actively against his oldest son, Justin, or oldest biological son, I should say, Justin Combs. He has been sued. This young lady alleges that he drugged her, held her prisoner for a weekend, and G-raped her by Diddy and 2 other masked men in L.A. She said the trip was arranged by the son, and she was asked to give risque photos and promise her a job at Revolt TV. Right now, he's been coming to court. There's more suits that are piling up. Sarah Rivers, aka Sarah Stokes from MTV's Making the Band, has filed a $60 million lawsuit against him. She says he assaulted her, groped her, humiliated her, and made her work under inhumane conditions. A 148-page suit alleges he cornered her and touched her without consent. He told her to firm up her body while staring at her. He screamed threats like, "I'll eat your face." She was forced to walk miles for cheesecake on TV with unpaid labor, and after 3 seasons, she was just paid $5,000 per show. She also names MTV Universal Music and Combs' own mother, Janice, in the lawsuit. Gray, what's your thoughts? Because it seems like it's just beginning, even if he's not guilty.
Guess who's making an album with Justin Combs?
Who?
Kanye West.
Kanye. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, not Justin, Christian.
Oh, it's Christian? Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
my
it's
bad.
not
You're right.
Justin.
You're right. It's the other one. Thank you for correcting me.
Mhm.
I'm not shocked. I mean, I'm not going to say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but what I'll say is, like, you know, if your dad is living a certain lifestyle and you know the kid is around, even if you think the kid's not watching, they're watching. So, like, they probably learned some things from their father. They probably knew some things that their
Mhm.
father did that he didn't even know that they did if he was trying to keep it concealed.
True. Well, you don't got to listen to us. Let's see what Dr. Umar has to say on it. Here we go.
Like
Well, hold
him
on,
for
let me start
whatever
it
reason.
over.
All this case prove, Art, over these 28 days, over these 7 weeks, this case proved that Puffy has some very serious psychosexual issues. This case
True.
proved that he might be a nymphomaniac. This case proves that he may have some unaddressed childhood emotional issues that he's taken out on these women and these sex incidents, these freak offs. It proves that he engages in risky behavior. It proves he got a lot of people that don't like him for whatever reason. It proves he got a lot of girlfriends that didn't feel like they got out of the case what they should have got out of the case. I don't see how. I don't see how he gets convicted on freak off footage, freak off details, and freak off testimony. Now, I'm going to say this. The verdict and the sentence. And the sentence is going to be more important than the verdict, I believe, Art. But the verdict and the sentence in the Diddy case is going to reveal one thing. What the elites feel about Puff and how important he may still be to the entertainment power structure. If he gets convicted and they throw the book at him, that's the elite saying, we're completely done with you and we need you to go away. If he gets a slap on the wrist, and I'm going to define slap on the wrist, Art, for me, as any sentence of 10 years down to acquittal.
Agree.
If Puffy gets a sentence of 10 years down to acquittal, I will see that as a victory. And the reason I will see that as a victory, Art, and a sign from the elites that we can still use you, is the sex trafficking case is a minimum of 15 years to life, Art. He can get 15 years to life on the sex trafficking. On the RICO, I don't know what the minimum is, but he can get up to life on the RICO. So the sex trafficking, he can get life, up to life. On the RICO, he can get up to life. On the prostitution charge, he can get 10 years per charge, per count, 10 years per count, and those will run concurrently. As I told you before in our first conversation, I think the only thing they could get him on is the prostitution.
I feel the same.
I think the only thing they could get him on is the prostitution. So if they get him on a prostitution, Art, no matter how many counts they get him with, let's say they get him with 5 counts of prostitution, they run concurrently. That's 10 years. You don't have to do all your time in the feds. You do not have to do all your time in the feds. He's home in 5 years. I think that's a victory for Puff. For what he was facing, life for RICO, life for sex trafficking, and you walk out with a couple counts of prostitution that carry 10 years to pop, I think that's a victory for Puff. And in my opinion, that's all I can see them hit.
So what do you think about that, Gray? Is that going to be a victory? You think that's all they're going to hit him with? What do you think?
I think it's possible that Dr. Umar can be right. What I disagree with him on is that the entertainment industry has some type of power within the government where they can say, hey, we don't want this to happen to Diddy, so that's not going to happen to Diddy, or we want this to happen to Diddy, so this is going to happen to Diddy. So I will agree that the entertainment industry can say, hey, we don't want to deal with you if he beats the case. I will agree with that. But I think that Diddy had a good defense team. I feel like Diddy was confident. I mean, immediately after closing arguments, some charges were taken away. So I think that's a good sign for Diddy.
Okay, so let's be clear. It wasn't charges because people keep saying that it's misinformation. It was some of the predicate acts. Also, any other standard rapper, if we were talking about like Nelly or someone like that, I would agree with you. But Diddy was heavily, heavily, heavily involved in electing Democratic officials through his vote or die campaign. Democratic presidents through his vote or die campaign. This is not just any old rapper. This is a mogul that has very ties and connections to presidents, to elected officials at the highest level as the Senate and things like that. So normally I would say, yeah, maybe you're right. But in this case, I disagree. I think that Dr. Umar is on the right track, that will be the sign because he's connected to so many big name uh, organizations and high officials.
First, let me correct you. The term for predicate act is a crime or offense that serves as the basis for a more serious charge. A predicate crime or offense is a crime which is a component of a larger crime. So it's still considered a charge, and a larger crime may be racketeering, money laundering, finance, or terrorism. So within this is RICO. So what was within the RICO was taken off. So it still is considered a charge, but that's what a predicate act stands for. As far as the Democratic Party, just because someone donates to a party, that doesn't mean that they are doing any type of acts with this person, whether it may be something out in the open or something more private. Like we've seen, Elon Musk came out and said that Donald Trump was in Epstein files, but we don't see any real evidence of that. So to try to say that Obama is connected with Diddy because what Diddy did as far as for the Democratic Party, when we actually have someone that we're extremely close to the current president and has accused him of being connected to someone who's been accused of very malicious crimes.
Okay, so I'm gonna play this clip, guys. You tell me, was he connected to very high officials? Let's watch the clip together.
There you go. Hey, y'all. Thank you. And I just want to say how much I appreciate Puff Daddy for doing the kinds of work that he's doing, because he doesn't have to do this. But this is part of what is important about giving back.
We applaud you, and I want to apologize for not sweating, but I do this so much. I'm so cool. I just want y'all to see everybody I'm interviewing is sweating. I'm not even touching my brow. I'm so cool, and I want to apologize. I ain't trying to make you look bad or nothing like that, but I'm just so cool. We
T-shirt. I tell you, if he was wearing one of those fancy designer clothes he's designing, he'd be sweating just like me.
So yeah, that's the vote or die campaign. I mean, he was essentially telling people to go out and vote and working with Democrats while telling them to do so. I mean, so to say that that's not, I don't know. I mean, he was very heavily connected with the Democratic Party.
To speak for the African American community, we tend to help each other and look out for each other, especially when we see someone, making legendary acts or doing something that isn't in the norm or something first. Diddy probably felt like as a black entrepreneur and being successful that he had to help Obama. And this was way when I was a child. And Diddy was working on a vote or die campaign. Again, to say that because someone donated to a campaign or because someone associated with someone based on politics doesn't mean a person was doing something with them in their personal lives.
We didn't say that's not what I said though. You're flipping it because you don't like that he's attached to the Democrats. What I said was he is attached to elites, and that's what Dr. Umar said. You try to say, "Oh, I don't think that that's the case because he's not that important." But I'm trying to show the correlation of why he is important because he impacted elections by telling people to go out and vote. In particular, while telling people to go out and vote, he would interview certain candidates, and particularly Democrat. He never interviewed Bush in these campaigns. He never interviewed Trump in these campaigns. In fact, the whole reason why they're going against him, when after I let you respond, I have another clip to play, is he was going against the Democrats and saying, hey, they ain't helping us. Let's go start our own party. He was a threat because he was going against the establishment.
What you said really doesn't correlate. First off, if he's a billionaire, he's got to be around other billionaires. He's famous. He's rich. You're going to be around each other. He was friends with Trump. He was friends with everybody. Even though because you see Diddy just talking with the Democratic Party, you really think that Diddy wasn't behind the scenes shaking hands with Republicans? He's a billionaire. He owns liquor. He owns fashion clothes. He does
Okay.
all types
Finish
of
line
stuff.
moves. If this was somebody connected to Trump, you'd be like, no, he's connected to Trump. He's connected to Trump. You
He
wouldn't
is
admit
connected
it.
to Trump. I said that, showed that last week. He's connected to Trump.
But you refuse to acknowledge the connections with the Democrats. In fact, someone testified that he would hang out with Obama. We have it on the stand that he testified that he would hang out with Obama. But this is what it's really about. I'm gonna play
So
this very
rapper P.
short.
Diddy, he was
It's
in a
very
live
short.
stream with Naomi Campbell, I believe for her YouTube show, and he talked about the Democratic Party taking the black vote for granted, particularly with respect to Vice President Biden. He said he's even willing to hold his vote, quote, hostage. Let's listen to what he said.
In order for us to vote for Biden, we can't be taken for granted like we always are because we're supposed to be Democrats or because people are afraid of Trump. It's whoever's going to take care of our community, whoever wants to make a deal. It's business at this point. You know, we can't trust politicians, you know, so we want to know very clearly, just like Trump made it clear that he wanted to build a wall, Biden needs to make it clear that he's going to change the lives and quality of life of black and brown people, or else he can't get the vote. I will hold the vote hostage if I have to.
Hold the vote hostage. And again, he was very impactful. So, Gray, it's fine. You're a Democrat. I know it doesn't look good for me to be saying that the correlation of his crimes, not crimes, but his charges and why they're going so heavily after him could be connected to the Democratic Party, potentially because of comments like this. Also, the issue he has with the liquor company people. So, again, it's all alleged, but it doesn't look good for your side.
Look at Diddy's beard. Diddy has a gray beard in that video. Diddy has zero power. Nobody would have saw that video if he didn't get in the freak offs. This has zero to do with the left or the right. Diddy is not this person that has this power that you're speaking of. Diddy did a vote or die campaign when cable news existed, when he was on 106 in Park. Bad Boy was irrelevant. Diddy has been irrelevant for the last, I would stretch and say, 8 years. Diddy has been
irrelevant, yet the government has put their big dogs on him. 8 AUSAs, unheard of. 8 AUSAs going after him for this criminal enterprise when honestly we haven't seen any financial benefit. This is why people struggle with the RICO charge, because part of it is financial benefit. Other than him shelling out money, he wasn't making any money from this. I have the whole clip. Listen, guys, Gray is being disingenuous here. You're seeing it live in the flesh of how Democrats are. I'm gonna play this clip. This is why people don't mess with the Democrats.
Black vote is not going to be for free. We're going to have to see some promises. You know, what are we getting in return for our vote? Nothing has changed for Black America. And in order for us to vote for Biden, we can't be taken for granted like we always are because we're supposed to be Democrats or because people are afraid of Trump. It's whoever's going to take care of our community, whoever wants to make a deal. It's business at this point. You know, we can't trust politicians, you know, so we want to know very clearly, just like Trump made it clear that he wanted to build a wall, Biden needs to make it clear that he's going to change the lives and quality of life of black and brown people, else he can't get the vote. I will hold the vote hostage if I have to.
You said it here, said it first.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Yeah, I wanted to play the whole clip though, unedited, without anything being taken out though, to prove a point to you of how strong what he said.
This is where we're speaking on two totally different terms. I know this probably because you listen to church music. Diddy has not
What?
done
What does
anything.
church music have to do?
Let me finish. Let me finish.
But Revolt, so Greg, Revolt was in the top 10 of Black entertainment channels.
He's not
Revolt
on
was
there.
huge at the time.
He's
Not
not
anymore
on
because
there.
of the lawsuits.
But what I'm saying to you is, it's like, as far as
Church
rap
music.
and entertainment, Diddy was
What are we
not
talking about?
relevant in any type of form. Nobody was talking about Diddy. Diddy was a part of a rap album. Nobody was like, oh, Bad Boy Records. So Diddy coming out and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to hold a Democratic vote hostage. Who in their right mind was going to say, hey, you know what? Let's go listen to Diddy. I didn't hear nobody talking about Diddy during the Biden-Trump campaign.
Thank you, Dark. Thank you. I think we can all agree that Diddy pissed someone off to catch a bogus RICO case. He pissed someone very important off. Could it be the Democrats? Could it be the Democrat elite? Gray doesn't want to acknowledge that because it doesn't help his side, guys. I have no dog in this fight. I'm an
I can tell
independent.
y'all who he pissed off. Cassie. That's who he pissed off. He pissed off
And
Cassie.
the feds. And the feds.
The feds would have never got on him if he didn't say, if Cassie didn't go say, hey, Diddy did this to me, Diddy would still be freak offing right now. He would still be freak offing right now if it wasn't for Cassie Ventura.
Can we all agree that only South Park only talks about relevant people? Can we agree on that?
Yeah, of course.
All right, I'm gonna play you something because South Park is geared towards Caucasian people. So this is how relevant his vote or die, vote or die. I mean, great. Can you admit it now?
Nora, when was Vote or Die?
Years ago.
2004. I was still in high school when Vote or Die existed. Still in high school. So with this whole Diddy thing and the connection with Diddy doing this, and basically Obama was a part of it, because that's what you're insinuating. I don't want to put words in your mouth. That's what you're trying to say.
That's not what I'm insinuating. I'm insinuating that he is connected. He pissed off some big, powerful people. It could be the Democrats. It could be they didn't like that he was going against them by telling people, hey, we're going to hold the black vote, because that was a big thing. And that was huge when he said that.
Here's the thing. The black vote is dying already, and black Republicans have already killed the black vote. The black vote is already
No,
dead.
it's dying because you guys allow the Democrats to allow illegals to come here and take over, get citizenship through illegal means, and then be able to vote. That's how it's
never
dying
happened.
because you guys don't believe in voter integrity.
That never happened. Name one illegal that
Okay.
voted. Can you name one?
There's been proof of it.
Okay, so back to Diddy. Saying that Diddy, who jumped on the wave of what Obama was doing and then using the entertainment industry to say, hey, guys, we got to vote or we go die. First off, to me personally, if I was to go back to that time, that was one of the most consequential votes for me as an American citizen, being an African American in this country. So that was a big time and a big thing that was happening. Every African American I knew was heading to the polls. So listen to the term, vote or die. So to sit here as a black Republican and say, oh, you know what, Diddy was connected to this because of vote or die, and you black Republicans that sit there and
I'm
talk
not a
down.
black Republican.
Let me finish. That talk about
Okay.
Obama. You're only able to sit there and be a Trump fanatic because of Obama. If Obama never existed, there would be no Trump. So basically, Obama was the frontier of creating this political machine that we see today, where it's more modern, more, entertainment, and Trump took it to a whole nother level. So, I mean, the entertainment industry and politics have always coexisted. Ronald Reagan himself was an actor. Trump had a reality TV show. So it's becoming more and more intertwined with the entertainment industry.
Also, he attempted to relaunch his vote or die for 2020, but that was all around the time that he started having issues with these liquor people. Again, it's all connected. We can agree to disagree, but exactly. Thank you, Dark. Diddy could have pissed off the group he was in a liquor feud with. But Dark, I believe when he started talking this mess about let's hold the vote, They had to distract him with the beef with these liquor people. I stand on that. I believe the liquor people are connected with the Democrats potentially, and this is all connected. Because why? He said he was going to hold the black vote. And whether you think he was relevant or not, people love Diddy. People respected Diddy. And yeah, it's possible.
Okay. So did people never accuse Diddy of hitting up Pop, of hitting up Biggie? Everybody just okay
Of course.
then.
Of
Okay then.
course. But for everyone that accused him of that, there were two more that loved and respected him. Let me tell you, New York is his city. When I was there, people were riding by playing his music, yelling out Free Diddy to the courthouse.
Michael Blackson said everybody in New York loved Diddy except 50.
True.
But Diddy
True.
had a bunch of enemies. Diddy has been in the industry a long time, and the people that took down Diddy are Jaguar Wright, Gene Deal, and Cassie Ventura. Those are the people that exposed Diddy. Those are the people that went out and said Diddy's doing all these wild things, and then so nobody believed it. Nobody believed Jaguar Wright. Nobody believed Jaguar Wright until this case happened.
Well, Dark, what's your predictions for the case? Let us know in the chat so we can get some people's opinions. It's 20 something of y'all watching. One on the chat if you think Diddy's guilty, two if you think he's not guilty.
You need me to play something?
Yeah, I mean, I got something if you don't have anything.
Yeah, I got a judge. Let's hear from a judge that everybody knows.
Well, since there's no state crime being involved, which is where all the criminal activity, the assaults on women, the arson, all that occurred, that's state. And this federal crime, this RICO crime, I believe that thus far, all they've proven, and they've rested their case. I think they only proved the Mann Act, and that is flying interstate transportation for prostitutes. Perhaps drug use, drug possession, based on all the witnesses that have said they brought drugs from across state lines. If the deliverer of the drugs, in which I think there's an admission that the drugs were brought from cross state lines, then it becomes federal. And in that case, possession, in my opinion, not distribution.
Well, I don't think that's actually a charge. The charges are the RICO, and then sex trafficking and prostitution.
Well, there you have it. All I hear then is prostitution, interstate transfer of prostitutes.
Right. But at the end of the day, and I've interviewed one of the male escorts, Punisher, and well, number one, he was not trafficked. You know, he was just paid. He was already living in New York. He would go about a dozen times, meet with them and have their freak offs and so forth. I asked him, do you feel like you were trafficked? He said, absolutely not.
Well, see, there's different things. You got trafficking, and then you got interstate transfer of prostitutes.
Right.
And so trafficking, yes, he wasn't, but he was a prostitute that crossed state lines and received monies. And that's what I think he will be found guilty of. That's perhaps the only federal crime I think he should be found guilty of, but it's because it certainly doesn't amount to RICO. The things that they've attempted to prove, they did not prove enough to connect it to a RICO case, a continuing criminal enterprise.
I totally agree on that. I think the RICO is just ridiculous. I mean, obviously, Bad Boy is not a mafia organization.
Correct.
That's just, you know, like trying to present to the world that it's a real company, but really they're like extorting and, you know, trafficking drugs. It's a real company.
That's exactly what they're trying to suggest.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I think they're going back to the kids down in Atlanta. That, by the way, they were exonerated, I believe, one or two of them.
YSL case.
Yeah, YSL case where, their company was actively, allegedly.
BMF was a drug business.
Yeah,
we all know
right.
this. It is what it is. There's a TV show about it.
Right.
It is what it is. Yeah, but Bad Boy, Ciroc, Sean John, these are actual real companies.
Absolutely.
And it just so happened that the owner of the company
is a freak and a dope fiend.
And, you know, was a dope fiend.
He likes
was having his
free.
assistants, you know, get hotel rooms and so forth. But listen, I got a bunch of employees.
Right.
If I tell my assistant to go book a hotel room for me and I engaged all types of weird freakiness in there, he can't be charged for it. He can't. I can't say that he was part of this conspiracy. You know, he just booked a hotel room.
Listen to you, little bootleg
That's
lawyer.
right, bootleg
over
lawyer.
here.
Well, let me ask you a question, because the charges are racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and then transportation to engage in prostitution. What exactly is the difference between the sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion and transportation to engage in prostitution? Seems like it's almost the same thing.
Not really, because sex trafficking is essentially, that's the coercion, where you're coercing a woman to go across state lines to have sex with someone. Is similar to pimping.
In this case, it's not a woman, it's men.
Okay, it's similar
right?
to
It's the men.
it's
It's the
true.
men.
But it's similar. Trafficking is like pimping.
Right, but do you think that
This isn't trafficking.
Right, see, that's what I'm saying. So sex trafficking, none of the men are going to say that they were forced to engage in this
Or
horrible
coerced.
act of having
No.
sex with Cassie.
No.
Oh my God, I
Right.
have nightmares over this. It was so bad. Boo hoo.
I'll take 1 year for that.
That's
No,
right.
I'm just kidding.
We would have all done it for free, all right, including the escorts. It is what it is. Okay, so that was getting thrown out the window, you think?
Yes,
So
trafficking.
all you
yes.
have left is transportation to engage in prostitution.
That's all I think they have.
That sounds like a slap on the wrist.
Well, it won't be, because unfortunately, judges are people too, and he's going to try and compensate for the other things that they've seen, for the state crimes that he's seen. His mindset is going to be, I'm not letting him get away with the minimum. I'm giving him the maximum that'll compensate for the things I can't do. The things that he didn't, the things that the prosecutor didn't prove, but I think happened. The things that happened in state court, but the statute of limitations expired, so I can't prosecute him. So, he says 1 to 10 years. I think I'm gonna give him 10.
Woo!
I hope not. For that small of for that violation. You know, I'm not suggesting that they should overcompensate for the state crime that they failed to prosecute because of the statute of limitation. I think they should be judged based on what he did then. And that is the interstate transportation of prostitutes, the violation of the Mann Act.
Right. So he flew in a couple of male escorts to have sex with a woman. He paid them. They were happy. They went home.
Right. And trafficking is.
Now, there's a judge saying right there, judges are people, and that the judge is going to try to punish Diddy for the stuff that wasn't proven. So right there, even if you try to say it's this big conspiracy, the Judge Mathis himself feels as if the judge is going to be biased.
Ray, you will never understand it because you're a Democrat. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
You're stuck in the Democrat mind. I gotta prove this. I gotta prove this point. I gotta beat them down. The black Republicans. Oh, they wrong. They wrong. And no conspiracy. No conspiracy. Never any conspiracy. So you will never understand it. Never. But that's okay.
When y'all
Bro,
become
it's
a
okay.
judge, I'll say, okay, let me listen to what they say. But he's a TV judge, okay? Oh my God.
Bro,
You
you
know-
will never understand it.
Oh my.
I got a clip to play.
All right, go ahead.
Do you see it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it playing?
Yeah, you can't hear. I can't hear it.
Oh, you
Take it.
can't? Okay, hold
No.
on. I'll play this link. Hold on. My bad. I stopped sharing. I never blame you. You crazy Republicans. All right, guys. This is Torre. Maybe he's a world-renowned journalist. Also, there's rumors about Diddy that I'll talk about later, but allegedly. Let me play this.
But after the closing, the government got another chance to rebut what the defense had just said. One last rebuttal. People have not told you how powerful that was.
You're right.
The government's lead attorney, Maureen Comey, daughter of Jim Comey, gave a powerful, passionate, rousing, intense rebuttal. She made me think Diddy is done. Comey said ST is getting someone to say yes to doing it through force or coercion. That's it. One time is enough. You don't need to believe that all the freak-offs are ST. The only question was one of them forced or coerced. One freak-off where force or coercion was used to get to yes. That's enough. One instance is enough to convict. She said, do you really think Cassie wanted an escort to in her mouth? She said that one several times. She said when Cassie was in a hotel in Long Island doing a freak off and she was beaten so badly that she had an open wound on her face and then she OD'd, and as soon as they brought her back, they went back into a freak off. That's ST. She was clearly forced. She just OD'd. She said when Jane was in LA and telling him, I do not want to do any more hotel nights. And he said, fine, just come to New York, fly to New York, and it'll be just you and I. Meanwhile, he's on the phone calling Paul, setting up another hotel night. So when she's in the air and when she gets there and it's too late to say no, now he's like, haha, we're doing a hotel night. She was forced into doing it. That's ST. This is not what I thought it was. One instance is enough to convict. Jane started a fight with him, but he beats her. Jane started a fight with him, but he beat her viciously for hours. And right after the beating ends, they go right into a freak off. Maureen said he literally beat her into submission. He made Jane pay for fighting him by being with Anton. Did she want to have sex with an escort?
Yes, she did.
Right after being beaten for hours by this man? Of course not. And at that freak off, Jane told him, I don't want to do this. He said, is this coercion? And
Ah, Jesus. I, listen, I'm sorry. Jane was 35 years old. I will never feel sorry for her ever, 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 ever. Cassie, I had more empathy for because little baby bird was like 19, 20 when all this started. Gray, what's your thoughts? Also, there is a rumor that someone alleges that they saw like his medical records, allegedly, heavy alleged with what I'm about to say, and it showed this. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
Well, my thoughts is basically this is where it's hard to be a man because what is considered coercion? Is coercion considered giving somebody money? Is coercion it considered begging? Like so, it's basically like for that particular situation, like was because he didn't necessarily commit the act. Someone else committed the act. Diddy was the one putting it together. So that makes this even more convoluted and even more difficult to say, what really happened. I don't know. I didn't hear about Diddy getting. He was using a TikTok phrase, but I haven't heard a grape. I didn't hear about that he was being charged with that. Have you?
Uh, no, no, no. But those are the predicate acts that we were talking about. Remember? And they dismissed the predicate act regarding the arson because there was no proof that he did it. It was a woman's DNA found at the scene. And I did a breakdown on this on Nora Christine Live, and I said I believe that the person that did the fire was probably Capricorn Clark because she wanted to prove her loyalty to Diddy, and he caught her helping Cassie sneak behind his back to be with Kid Cudi.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, like Judge Mathis said, I know you're using the term predicate act, but once the judge hears it, the judge doesn't really care what it is. He's gonna keep that in mind with whatever that he's charged with. Okay, I remember the arson. Okay, I remember the assault. I remember this. So I'm gonna try to give you the maximum on this little charge that you get charged with.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, guys, we're going to wrap up in a few minutes, but if you'd like to call in, 407-602-8114. The phone lines are open, 407-602-8114. We definitely want to hear from you. Um, I don't know. Like this is wild. I feel that it was an overreach. Someone said, I really think he's guilty. All Diddy. So people are like having strong opinions that Diddy is guilty. Again, I don't feel that he should be charged with anything for Jane. Cassie, yes, but Jane, no. I'm sorry. Because even the text messages with Jane, she didn't start saying, "Oh, I don't like this," until Cassie's lawsuit came out.
True, true, true. I know we about to get out of here, and you love conspiracy theories, so we can't talk about the Diddy case without talking about my man Gene and Diddy.
It's something I want to speak on personally, bro. I know this outside your questioning, but Suge Knight, he had made a statement that I had knew Reggie from way back in the day in the whole 9 yards, and that I was friend with Reggie the time when Big got killed. Then you have some content creators go out and make all kinds of shows saying and like I had lined Big up. I had something to do with this, that, and the third because Suge said this and Suge that. Suge, being the gentleman he is and the gentleman that he could be sometimes, came out and clarified that I was the wrong person. I wasn't the person that he was talking about. You understand what I'm saying? As a gentleman that he could be, he said that he was wrong. It wasn't Gene Deal, it was Paul Alford that was big friends with Reggie and knew Reggie. You understand? Now the content creators who went out there and they start running off by their mouth, trying to make airways and trying to make a show up. Here go a grown ass man, right his wrong. But I bet you wouldn't see them clowns doing that. That's the same thing I was talking about when I said Mason Cameron made suggestions to Bad Boy Security. They never said Gene Deal's name, but these clowns out here was going to go out there and make videos. Gene Deal, Mason Cam said Gene Deal had to blame. Mason Cam, neither one of them was at the place. They was even there to say anything that happened. But this is what I was talking about, that Mace, listen to me, say names. You got a platform. When you do stuff like that, you understand, you got to know right now that people look at me as being Bad Boy Security. So when you say stuff like that, brother, you gotta be clear. You already know, Mace. Come on, brother. And this is what I was saying. And what happened? As soon as that dropped, you got 5 or 6 out there. Oh, Gene Deal was crying for the blanket. Gene Deal was this, that, and the Gene Deal was this, that, and the third. Oh, what they'll do to Gene Deal. I just want to say this, Mighty, and I don't promote this, bruh. But when you doing all that stuff to Gene Deal, what do Gene Deal supposed to be doing while you doing all that? I bet you really don't want to know. What you think I'm going to be doing when you doing all that to Gene Deal? They can play if they want to, but if they know what I know, they better find somebody else to play with. I appreciate you.
Yo, Gray is saucy today. By the way, I want to show the charges because Gray thinks he knows like so much about this, but like no shade, no shade. So
You
these
heard
are the charges. These are the counts. I just want to clarify so the people can know because if they watch us that they have accurate information. These are the counts. Count 1, racketeering. Count 2, sex trafficking. Count 3, transportation for prostitution. Count 4, sex trafficking of Jane. Count 5, transportation. These are the breakdowns of the predicate acts now. Predicate acts defined. So the RICO is all encompassing. It's not a charge, the things that were laid out. They rolled it up, and you have to have 2 of those proven. So if they're going to go down each list, kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, trafficking, transportation or prostitution, narcotics distribution. So if he's guilty of 2 of these 5, then they have the RICO. However, Gray is right. They removing 2 of the predicate acts are good, because if you look at the list, 2 of them are connected to another charge, so they can't include those. So really, this was a win for him in the sense, because now it's down to, I think, kidnapping, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, and that's it, and narcotics distribution, because the other 2 are related to counts 2 and 4 and 3 and 5. So I do think we do have witness tampering. He paid the security guard to remove that tape, so that's the witness tampering.
For sure.
What do you think, Gray?
Thank you for telling me that I was right. Like Gene Deal said, you know, when you on the platform, we come out, we put the names, we make sure that it's out there. And then you got what he was saying in that video was that Mace knows the truth with what happened with Biggie. And so, like, I see RV going off of the chat and people going in the chat saying
True.
this is the beginning. We never talked about Keefe D, who was arrested, and he was never brought to testify, but he was arrested in Vegas for saying that he eliminated Tupac, and he said that Diddy was the person who paid him at one point. So I mean, like, there is a lot more stuff out there with Diddy's name surrounding it that was prior to all of this happening. So do I feel like this is over for Diddy even if he beats the case? No, but I heard that Diddy's in talks with Trump, and that if you got some money, you got to be the charge. That's the man to call.
Oh my God. Yo, Gray is saucy today. All right, Gray. Let everybody know what they can expect at 8 p.m. tonight.
Tonight on the Man Cave, 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be talking about birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court just ruled on that, and Trump is extremely excited about that. So we're going to be covering it, saying who has the right to citizenship. Trump said it was for the children of slaves, and he doesn't feel like immigrants deserve that, to use that law that was passed.
And tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be doing reaction clips to Candace versus 20 Feminists. We have some pretty big influencers coming. We have someone coming from the UNF America Tour, who is an influencer that will be a guest tomorrow night as well.
For sure. Always vote.
God bless everyone. Stay tuned and locked.